All right, welcome to the Bean and Jack podcast. We're recording this on the night of July 6th, 2020, which will be known as the date when the Kansas City Chiefs' downfall began because they decided to sign their star quarterback to probably 100% of their whole salary cap space. I don't. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. Of course, us Broncos fans are praying that having the Chiefs having to pay all these players will mean that they won't be good in the future.
hmm I mean, yeah, you see that so often with like these big contracts, like the Rockies are experiencing it now with Arenado, and there's countless other examples really where those big contracts, Albert Pujols too. Um, NFL rarely, and this is the first like $400 million guy we've seen there. But yeah, sometimes it bites teams in the butt. We'll see what happens with the Chiefs though, especially with an injury-prone sport like football. I mean, and he's already had a bit of an injury history. I think there is some risk that the Chiefs definitely took on there.
For sure. Yeah, I just when I saw the numbers I thought was crazy because I don't remember the last time an NFL player was even allowed to sign a contract that was 10 years in length. Um, which is just crazy
Yeah,
because
so it's 13 years.
you have guys like Aaron Rodgers who are on 4 and 5 year deals, have to re-sign every time,
hmm
and then obviously the situation in Green Bay, they just have not treated their star quarterback well.
No.
Compared to Kansas City, but yeah, I think that this is, I don't know, the Chiefs are just going to enter their golden age, I think, unfortunately, at least for the next season or two. They're still going to have a shot to win it all just because of their offense. I don't think their defense is anything special, but they obviously got the job done last year, so.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree with you there. Um, yeah, and the Broncos are also heading in the right direction, but it has been the Chiefs' division the past couple years, and looks like it'll stay that way for at least a few more, um, barring any injuries or anything. Um, yeah, no, it's a. I was really surprised to see that come out today, though. It's like 425 million. It's crazy for a quarterback too. I've
Un-
always been more of a fan of those shorter, like 3 year kind of contracts. So even with like Cam Newton, like the Panthers had signed him to like a 10-year deal after his MVP season, like, and you've just seen him kind of decline after that. Although he did sign with the Patriots last week. Um, Lots of moves going on in the NFL this week.
yeah, Cam Newton signing with the Patriots too, and I think it just shows that Bill Belichick's an evil genius.
Mm-hmm.
A healthy Cam Newton
Mm-hmm.
is a good quarterback, and it seems like people have forgotten that.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how like Belichick changes up their whole offensive scheme because they've had like a pocket quarterback in Brady the past like almost 20 years, and now all of a sudden you're going to a completely different kind of player in Cam Newton. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of adapt to that.
Absolutely, I think it's just gonna turn out well for them because in Carolina, Cam Newton never had like a plus receiving core. Sure, he had like some good receivers, obviously with Steve Smith, and then of course Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess when they were both at the high points of their careers, thus far anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it I think that McDaniels knows how to create offensive game plans around quarterbacks. He didn't know how to be a head coach when he was the
Mm-hmm.
Broncos head coach, but he
No.
does for darn sure know how to be an offensive coordinator. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just gonna be one of those things where it's probably gonna be the Patriots, Chiefs, and Ravens in a 3 horse race to win the AFC this year. Unfortunately, so
Yeah, at least we got another seed there to get in though with 7 teams.
yeah,
But yeah, we'll see. It'll be a different league this year for sure. Um, if the season does happen, I'm more optimistic that I think the NFL season will happen in the fall than the NCAA season because, like, obviously, like, student athletes have to go in classes every day. They're interacting with a lot more people. The NFL can at least kind of quarantine a bit more than student athletes can.
And this is kind of my thinking throughout the whole thing too, is that I'm a commuter student that goes up to CU Boulder. And there's going to be a lot more commuter students that come from who knows where, according to these athletes anyway.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people in Boulder that live both on and off campus. And it's just going to be crazy to think that these players can be quarantined away from everyone else, especially in a college type atmosphere, and not possibly have people on their teams that end up with COVID. So it's just it's in such a precarious position right now.
Yeah, you just interact with so many more people in the college environment, and you're getting, yeah, like you said, like people from all across the country and all across the world, even at CU, like coming back into Boulder. It's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be a lot to handle. I think in August, and we're seeing classes go online, and it looked like I saw on Twitter that there's a good chance that the fall season will get moved to a spring season. Which I think I'm all for that. I'm sure CU and Rick George would be for that too if it's the safest option, and hopefully get fans in the stands too, which is what you need to keep really all of CU athletics going, because we've seen so many college programs cut so many teams, and that's obviously not what you want to do. And they need the money, and this is how you're going to get the money.
Yeah, it's just you talking about like having fans in the stands for spring ball, which just sounds better to me personally, because college football, just college sports in general. Why do players play? Why do fans go? It's the atmosphere. It's the pageantry. It's being able to see Ralphie run across the field. It's just the whole experience. You can go to an NFL game and you're there to watch the game, but like in the college atmosphere, it just feels like it means so much more. Just especially if you're students, if you're alumni, you just wear it's like a badge of honor you wear, and you want to be able to experience that with your community.
Yeah, college football is just football without fans. You know what I mean there? Like, it would just be weird. It'd be like a spring game almost. It's not even close to the same thing. And yeah, we'll see though, I guess, with everything. Same with basketball, but I think it's still too early to speculate. At least thinking about forward to the spring. We just have no idea right now, really.
And another thing to add on to this is that, like, the athletes aren't under contract. Sure, they're on their scholarships, but you can't. It's just another one of those things where you can't expect athletes that aren't getting paid for the specific service of playing football for a university to just to have like a. It just doesn't seem feasible to me, and
you can't expect them to adhere to like quarantine rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ohio State had their players sign the Buckeye Pledge, I think they called it, which was basically like, I understand by being on campus and working out and doing football-related activities or whatever that I may be susceptible to getting sick, basically. So I'm kind of shocked we haven't heard about more schools making basically what would be liability waivers that way.
Maybe they're just, I don't know. I'm sure this happened to some extent. Maybe we're just not hearing about it. it's not really a pretty thing, I guess, to go out there. Yeah, I know it. I'm a high school baseball coach and everything. We have to sign waivers and temperature checks. I'm sure the college level is the same to some extent.
What of those temperature check type?
I know baseball's had it. Sorry, what was that? You broke up.
Oh yeah, you were breaking up too. Do you just want to re-say that thought?
I'm a high school baseball coach, and where you have to do waivers, temperature checks, and then you have to like fill out a form saying like if you have symptoms or not. It's really just like liability for like the school district when we practice on their fields. But if we practice or have a game at like a local field, or something not owned by a school district, then you don't have to do temperature checks or anything. Yeah, it's kind of been weird. The temperature check, it's just like one of those like heat gun things that you put up to your forehead, which obviously you can be asymptomatic and still have it, but I don't know. That's a good precaution at least.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously, talking about baseball, the MLB came out with their schedule just this evening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the Rockies will be opening up the season in Texas at the new Globe Life Park against the Texas Rangers. And then we have our home opener a week after that, I believe, against the Padres.
Yes.
Probably no fans at the games, unfortunately.
I did get an email today, though. I have some Carlough Rockies ticket list. They did say that they're working on allowing a select number of fans. Let me find the exact wording. Said the Rockies' hope is to allow a limited number of fans to attend 2020 home games at Coors Field. But we'll see.
I have to go. I'd want. After last summer, it's just something I got addicted to. Just have to go.
I get it. I don't know if it'll just be for like season ticket holders or what it will look like, but hopefully, I don't think the stadium's going to be 50,000 people. I'm sure it'll be max like 1,000, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I would want to go too, I guess, in a safe way.
Yeah. I mean, I've been out working and stuff, and I've been out in public wearing my face mask. Obviously, I think if they find a way to maintain social distancing, they should go for it.
It'd be hard though. They're like the bathrooms would have to be closed, and the food, the whole thing, and it's a whole different group of people than we both live in like somewhat suburbs of Denver. Denver's a whole nother like compact city, and you don't know where those people have been. I don't know.
And you have to think about what transportation would look like too, if they'd even like open up the buses and stuff. And
the buses, I bet they would. Well, I know like buses are back again now, but they wouldn't do anything like.
I mean, buses haven't left, and like I think I knew some people that had to travel like in the past few months, and the bus fare was free. But that's still something that
yeah. I don't know if it's just like local or we're doing never open.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to take a bus right now.
Yeah, that's something that fans would have to think about. What's the risk I take by taking the bus versus driving?
Driving safer for that, I think.
How much would parking be? How much would the actual tickets be?
Hopefully they don't price gouge the tickets. I don't think they would, but
I think since it's the Rockies, they won't. I think the Broncos could get away with it, though.
Yeah. I mean, maybe do like $100 a ticket, something like that. I don't know.
For the Rockies?
If there's only 1,000 fans being let in, they would have to give season ticket holders the first priority, though.
Yeah.
They've always kind of done that.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd have to.
They've already bought the tickets.
Yeah. Man, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to
There won't
see.
be any, last-minute rock pile stuff happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly what the landscape is just across the country, because there's places where these games will be played that cases are rising. There's also places where cases are being managed at a somewhat okay level. So
Rockies are going to be spending a lot of time in California, which isn't the best state right now in terms of coronavirus.
yeah.
Overall, a lot of time in Texas too. I guess we open up in Texas. Then we'll be in Oakland. Go through this a little bit. And also they're bringing their players here. And I don't know what the hotel situation is going to look like. I don't think all 25 players are just going to lock themselves in the hotel room. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the rules are with that.
Yeah.
We'll see, though.
Yeah. How do you think this is gonna help the Rockies, if at all, with the condensed schedule? Since they usually start off the season really well, and then you know how the Rockies are. Do you think the 60-game season is beneficial to them?
I don't know. I think it's unbelievable for everyone right now. I do like our schedule. I think playing mostly AL West teams. I don't think they're the strongest division in the American League. I would say the AL East is still the strongest. The Rangers are still kind of in rebuilding. The A's were pretty good last year. They went to the 5th game of the ALDS, I believe, against the Astros.
No, that was the Rays, but...
Oh, no, the Rays. The A's were in the wild card.
Yeah, the A's lost to the Rays.
Yeah, you're right. Mariners, not going to make the playoffs. Astros, still probably going to be good this year. And Angels, I think they'll be better than they were last year. Picking up a few key off-season acquisitions.
The Mariners are just like us, though, where they always start off the season super well, aren't they?
Well, they did last year. They were like 13-2 or something like that. The Mariners still haven't made the playoffs since 2001. At least the Rockies have. There's
Yeah.
no one to.
Yeah.
I think we're a notch above the Mariners, just one notch.
One notch above the Mariners. I'll take it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I like those stadiums. I'm excited to see that, at least on TV. I guess in terms of the actual baseball, I don't know, the Rockies are always an offensive-minded team. Seen that a little bit less the past couple of years, but I think it'll help with, we have a pretty young rotation, and I think a lot of those guys have gotten burned out, at least at the end of the year, the past couple of years. Freeland, Gray I wouldn't consider him young anymore. He's kind of entering, hopefully, his prime. With like Freeland and Marquez, I think a shorter season will probably be better for them to avoid any kind of decline.
I mean, Freeland had his decline last year.
Yeah,
I don't know if Marquez has really hit that sophomore slump yet. He didn't last year.
No, he didn't have as good a year as he did in 2018, but he was still. I think he was hurt for a lot of the year too.
Yeah,
he was on the DL at least for a little bit, but he was still a pretty good starter. He's not punching out 200 guys, but I have high hopes for him this year.
Yeah, for sure. And then, along with the MLB, we have other pro sports in the U.S. coming back. We have the NBA, coming back July 30th with the first two games are going to be the Jazz against the Pelicans and then the Clippers against the Lakers. And then the Nuggets have their first game August 1st, Saturday, August 1st at 11 a.m. against the Miami Heat. They have 3 exhibition games before then. What do you think about Jokic slimming down 40 pounds and then getting diagnosed with COVID? What are you expecting from him?
I mean, hopefully he's going to be okay. From what I've heard so far, I think Malone talked about it a little bit today. I think he's still in good shape. Yeah, I think that weight loss will help him, though. It'll be a different player for sure. And the Nuggets have a very tough schedule. We got the Heat, Thunder, Spurs, Trailblazers, Jazz, Lakers, Clippers, Raptors. The only team under 500 right now in that bunch, I guess the Spurs and the Trailblazers are the 2 teams in that are under 500 right now. So it's going to be tough for the Nuggets for sure. But, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Jokic is back in his prime, prime shape when we return in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think overall it's a good thing for the Nuggets that they kind of get to start back up again. They won't have to deal with fans. I think that favors a younger team, especially with them and kind of going through the motions last year in the playoffs. I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, just kind of like how you weren't expecting the Nuggets to, like, a team that's the second seed in the West shouldn't have to like struggle that badly as they did in the playoffs. And it was just really frustrating to watch because it just is like a media narrative with these teams that don't have a superstar, even though they're good. You see teams like when the Spurs played the Heat in the NBA Finals. Of course, you had like Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. All of them were older, though. You had Kawhi Leonard, who was younger at the time, but obviously made a huge impact. And I'd say he made a huge impact in both those series. But it was still one of those things where like if you can play as a team, if you can ignore the noise, you can have success. And I think that's how it goes with the Nuggets. I think we are perfectly capable of catching. I was about to say capturing for some reason, catching the Clippers for the number 2 spot in the West. But we could also fall to 4, which is what I'm worried about.
Yeah. I know we're trying to push Jokic as that kind of superstar player, but you never know. He's not the kind of guy that's going to put up 30, 40 points every night, put up a triple frequently, but yeah, that does speak to the kind of team the Nuggets are, opposed to like the Clippers, who have stars like Kawhi Leonard, or the Lakers with LeBron and Davis. Yeah, it's a different NBA right now than it was, I guess, like 10 years ago when Spurs and Heat were facing off. Although the Heat obviously had a few superstars there, but yeah, the Nuggets just have to adapt.
Yeah, I don't know. I think super teams have always been a part of the NBA, but like, I think when I first started watching it was when like the Celtics formed their big 3 with Pierce, Garnett, and Allen. The Lakers had both Kobe and Shaq on a team. Yep, before that. I think it's always kind of been a part of the game, but now just with the free agency rules and how that works, it's kind of been magnified. Players can go play with whoever they want.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is good for the sport.
Yeah. I think overall. It just sucks for teams like the Nuggets that can't really afford that big superstar player. Yeah, even like the Chiefs, who aren't like big market kind of team, but they got away with it with Mahomes apparently. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how those smaller market teams like Denver actually just kind of develop players and just hope for the best instead of just relying on signing those superstar free agents.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this question earlier today. I'm like, I wonder if you did a poll for like Denver sports, who they would say they hate the most, or sports hate. I should make sure I say sports hate the most between Patrick Mahomes, Cody Bellinger, probably Yusuf Nurkic, and Matt Duchene.
It would be Mahomes probably. Or Denver's still a football city.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would not be Nurkic or Duchene. I know that. It'd be between Mahomes and Bellinger, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could interchange Bellinger out for Justin Turner too, but
Andy Dodger.
Yeah.
I don't think Bellinger is like an evil villain for the Rockies, though. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's not like a specific player on the Dodgers that I think of that as, but I think Bellinger and Turner are probably the two players that I always get mad when they have success against the Rockies. So
yeah, or any Diamondback too.
Any Diamondback, yeah.
No, I know we've gotten a few fights with. I guess there was the Luis Perdomo in 2017, I think. Or 2018, but we don't really care much about the Padres. I guess they're not too much of a worry. They're looking better this year though.
Yeah.
They got some good young talent. I think they have the #1 farm system right now. But
yeah,
we'll see how that plays out in a 60-game season.
I don't know. It seemed like a lot. I don't know. I remember a few years ago, I was at the Padres stadium. I went to a Padres game against the St. Louis Cardinals, and Matt Holliday was on the St. Louis Cardinals at the time. And they did not like Matt Holliday. I can assure you of that.
Yeah.
So, I think that if you asked a Padres fan, they would probably say they don't like us very much, but.
Yeah, that's great to see as I was a Rockies fan. I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah.
They never seen. Wow. Yeah, it's a completely different. I guess with the Padres Cardinals game, and then them worrying about a former Rockies player. That must have been a cool environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about them yet. They haven't even made the playoffs since 2006, I believe. Yeah, still not too worried about them yet. The Giants are looking better this year too, I think. The new manager. It'll be between the Dodgers and maybe the Diamondbacks, I think, though, for the NL West.
Yeah, I think if we go on our trademark 10-game win streak, we'll have a chance.
That's all. You just need to get hot at once. I think you'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does help. Because, like, baseball, like, it's such, like, a marathon, and usually, like, the best teams prevail at the end, but now, when it's only 60 games, it, like, anybody has a chance.
Yep.
Because it's more of a sprint.
Yeah, do you think the Marlins have a chance, though?
No.
Yeah, there's just some teams where you're just like, yeah, they're one of them. Anyway, but
and
yeah.
LA so good, too. I don't see the Marlins. You're going to be playing your division so much more this year, too.
Yeah.
At least Nationals, spending chance. Braves, spending division chance. Phillies, Harper.
Mets.
The Mets with
Pete Alonso.
Alonso.
The Mets actually have a decent roster. That's the crazy thing about it. It's just they're one of those teams that you can't predict.
Yeah. I've always loved the Mets pitching staff with Thor, DeGrom, Matz. It's a bummer Matz never really... He's been above average, but he's never like turned into that superstar. They got rid of their fourth guy, like Zach Wheeler. He signed with the Phillies.
Yeah.
it played out well for them in 2015, but since then, not so much.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last
We'll
sport.
see, though. I'm bummed we don't get a play with other teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just like it's gonna be weird not being able to play those our NL teams this year.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess the last of the major sports we haven't covered yet is the National Hockey League.
Yes.
Their plan to have 2 hub cities in Toronto and Edmonton, 12 teams in each city. So they're obviously going to have the first round of the playoffs, and then with the top 4 seeds, they're going to have the seeding games. So I'm thinking each arena's probably going to have like 3 games a day. They haven't like announced their schedule yet.
Yeah.
But that at this point, that's what I think they're probably going to end up doing. And then in October, they're going to have the Stanley Cup Finals in Edmonton. And it's just going to be crazy to see 24 teams in the playoffs, especially coming off like such a long layoff and not having to like play any other games before then. I think it favors the teams that have the seeding games and basically a first round bye. So, yeah, I expect to see like one of the top 4 seeds from each conference being the representative in the Stanley Cup Finals. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. It's just whoever gets hot right away. Like hockey's like such a different sport than like, I don't know, at least baseball, where it's like, I think having a longer layoff hurts you more in those kind of hand-eye coordination, or kind of, I don't know, put this the right way, but like, it's a different kind of sport. I think it's something that you can kind of return to a little easier. But every team's going to be dealing with the same thing. Yeah, I would love to see the Avalanche, though, I guess, make up for last year, and I think they got a shot.
We have a legit chance.
Yeah.
Like with the Nuggets, I don't know. I think that most Nuggets fans realize that, or at least I realize that the Lakers with LeBron and Davis, at least before everything got shut down, they were on another level. They were in their own class, at least with everyone else from the Western Conference. Same with Milwaukee in the East.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still think that's the NBA Finals that's going to end up happening. But
it'll just be interesting to see if that momentum carries over.
Yeah, but in hockey, I feel like the Avs, regardless of where they end up after the seeding games, obviously there's going to be a momentum factor there, but I think that they are going to, that they have a legitimate shot at winning this thing. They're only 1 point behind St. Louis before the pause. I think they can play with any team in the East. It's just going to be a matter of certain matchups, I think. The goalie situation with the Avalanche is one where you could see both goalies playing in the playoffs. We'll see if that actually happens, though. I mean, the Chicago Blackhawks have had playoffs where they've started different goalies. Same with the Penguins. At least, yeah, the first... or that both years they may have had to play both Marc-Andre Fleury and Matt Murray. The Capitals played both Grubauer when he was with Washington, Braden Holtby, both of them played that playoffs. So it's something that's doable for sure.
Yeah, it's just knowing when to play the hot hand there.
Yeah.
I think this will help. I think the veteran teams will have a little more of an advantage. I still consider the Avs to be pretty young. So that could hurt us, I think, in the long run. But, yeah, it's still impossible to.
Yeah.
I guess we're just guessing right now at this point. It's something no one's ever seen before.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's just gonna be so crazy to watch. Um, I mean, yeah, just lately with other sports, obviously the only sports that have been on have been soccer. There's been some motor sports in there. Golf is back.
Mm-hmm.
Bayern Munich completed the double. They won the DFB Pokal final against Bayer Leverkusen 4-2. So now they have 2 trophies this season. Once the Champions League resumes in August, they could get their 3rd trophy and complete the treble, which I'm pulling for them to do that. Another team that could pull off a treble is Manchester City, obviously without the league because Liverpool ran away with that, but they could win their cup. So I think that watching the soccer matches and seeing players be disciplined, and you don't really hear much about new cases of coronavirus, that gives me faith for our leagues, even though the biggest criticism that I've been hearing from a lot of people is that, oh, well, the U.S. doesn't take it as seriously as these other countries. But I think since I've seen it with other sports and with like individual sports in the U.S., like golf, with motorsports, with IndyCar, NASCAR. I think it's something that's definitely doable. So, at least from the pro sports side, I'm very optimistic for how these seasons are going to end up playing out.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a totally different ballgame with college sports, even the more individual sports like golf. Yeah, it has been like everything's kind of restarting in Europe and Asia with like Korean baseball league, and because they handled the lockdown probably the right way, but now we're finally getting to see stuff open up.
Yeah, and I mean, they have Australian rules football on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Which I've watched a little of. I also watched a little bit of New Zealand rugby. I think I may have mentioned that on the last podcast, but there were fans in the stands for that because of New Zealand's protocol, which was just crazy to see. It was a real, like, I think that was part of the reason I continued watching the game I was watching, was because there were fans in the stands, and you could hear that organic noise opposed to the crowd noise that they have on these soccer matches. So,
yeah, it's just kind of odd to see. I know some teams are like pumping in like artificial crowd noise. I think like the Dodgers were doing that just to kind of get in that same kind of game mindset.
What are your thoughts on like watching a baseball game? Would you want to hear that artificial crowd noise, or would you just want to hear like what's actually going on at these events?
I definitely actually is going on. Like baseball has so many wonderful noises. I mean, you got mic. Maybe you could even like mic up a player. I definitely would do that. But baseball, you can hear like the grunt of the pitcher, obviously the crack of the bat. Baseball has so many different, small noises that you can kind of pick up on. And I think actually just seeing that, with the best of the best, I think it'll be interesting. Football and basketball kind of the same way. Basketball, just the players like communicating with each other, the squeaks of their shoes, and I think it'll be probably something I would maybe prefer anyways, but yeah, do you agree with me?
I think I do to a certain extent. I mean, I think for soccer, I think I was able to actually stay more engaged when they had like the crowd noise inserted into the broadcast. Just because, like, I don't know. I think since I watched a lot of Bayern Munich, so it was also in a language I didn't like. If they were communicating, it was in German, probably most of the time, so I couldn't understand it. I wonder what that experience would have been like for for someone. I wonder what watching those games is like for someone who could have understood that.
Yeah.
Because like since they've had the Premier League back on, that would be English, but they've always had crowd noise on the telecast, so that's kind of something I haven't been able to really.
Sounds weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Make it feel like that's fake, and I don't know. They'd have to block out quite a few profanities, though. I think in any sport.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see how the players are kind of communicating with each other.
Yeah, but on the flip side of it, I've watched some IndyCar races, and I watched the first F1 race of the season yesterday, which was just a crazy race. It was really entertaining. But I think in motorsports, it's something that I haven't had to need yet. I think that if the Indy 500 ends up going on without fans, that'll be something that I'll feel really weird about watching.
You'll get the pure noise of the car.
Yeah.
Which I think you might get to a pretty high extent, but yeah, it'll be different though. It's just the motor of the car. And the same with soccer. I think soccer isn't like a super like audio, I guess, prevalent sport. It's really just running on grass and kicking the ball. It's not like football, baseball, basketball, where it's more. There's lots of noises going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting though.
Yeah, all of it will be interesting, and hopefully in the future, we'll have more and more sports, actual games to digest and be able to talk about. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any last thoughts before we sign off, Jack?
I guess just stay smart. We got to be smart, I think, with this pandemic if we want to actually see sports come back. And I think there's going to be a lot of sports going on, obviously, but there's going to be a lot to digest in the month of August. And we've never seen, I guess, everything kind of coming back at once. And I don't know, I'm excited.
Yeah, you just get pumped up thinking about. You're just like, oh man, you know. So
I can sleep next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Last thoughts too.
Yeah, just that. Stay safe out there. Wear a mask. And once sports come back, I hope people are able to watch them, and hopefully it offers them that escape from the crazy world we live in right now. But there is stuff going on that I think that people should be aware of and participate in all of it. So, alrighty, well, that's it. That's it for the Bean and Jack podcast on July 6th, 2020. Thank you for listening.